Welcome to Dr. Vidya Premkumar's Creative Writing Sessions. These sessions are aimed at helping you become better writers as well as to be able to think more creatively overall in your life. And over to the next session for now. Good morning. So today we are going to do a session on writing haikus. Haiku is a Japanese form of poetry which is a very short poem based on nature, and generally it carries a lot of meaning in the metaphors that are created through these three short lines. It's a very effective way of practicing writing on the days especially when you have no time to actually sit down and write a longer piece. So what's a haiku? It's a poem which expresses a single thought. It's made up of 3 lines and has a specific syllable count for each line that needs to be followed, and it's generally based on nature but also reflects on human emotions, values, philosophy, or even musings, and it does not have a rhyme scheme. Now, if you do not know what syllables are, I'm going to quickly review for you what are syllables. Syllables are basically the smallest sound in a word. It's the sound and not the written part. Okay, the sound creates the written part in a word. You define a syllable by the number of sounds of vowel sounds that you hear in a word. Okay, for example, if you have a word like cat, you can only hear the sound a, so it is only single syllable. The other part of it, that is C and T, are only subsidiary to it. The main thing that makes up a syllable is the vowel sound in it. So if you have only one vowel sound in it, it becomes a monosyllable, that is a single syllable word. If you have more than one vowel sound, for example, I have given here manners. So you have a and a. Both the sounds can be heard when you're saying it. So you have 2 syllables, manners. Okay, so you have 2 syllables here. Similarly, if you have beautiful, you have beautiful. So you have 3 syllables there because 3 vowel sounds can be heard. So how do you count syllables? Like, how do you know how to count syllables? There are various ways that you can, techniques that you can use to count syllables. Let's take a look at that. 1. Each time you say a syllable, you can clap your hand. So the number of claps will remind you how many syllables are there. You can place your hand under your chin, and every time a vowel is said, you will know that your mouth is closing over a syllable. Generally, at the end of every syllable, your shape of your chin or the way you are articulating the word changes. So when you place it under your chin, you will know when the next syllable is happening. So again, you can count using that. Or you can simply count on your fingers, each finger for each syllable, and you will know the number of syllables that are there in a word or in a sentence for that matter. Because in poetry, we look at syllable counts in terms of sentences and not in terms of words itself. Okay. Now, let's take a look at what is the syllable pattern for a haiku. The numbers of syllable in each line of a haiku goes such. The first line needs to have 5 syllables. The second line needs to have 7 syllables. And again, the third line will have 5 syllables. I've given an example on this slide right beside it. The tree shape I blew from a little drop of paint looks like a dancer. Now see, the first line has the tree shape I blew. So 5 vowel sounds, therefore 5 syllables. From is 1, a is 2, little is again 2, drop is 1, off is 1, paint is 1, making it 7 syllables. Looks is 1, like is 1, a is 1, dancer is 2, making it 5 syllables. So this particular haiku follows all the rules of a haiku. It has 5 syllable count in each of the lines. It also is talking about nature, and it also depicts a deeper meaning because you now look at nature as a dancer also. There is personification. So you have all the important aspects of a good haiku in this example, and that is what needs to be kept in mind. This is all that goes into framing a haiku. Now let's take one more look. Refreshing and cool, love is a sweet summer rain that washes the world. Again follows all the requisite criteria for writing a haiku. It has the syllable count, talks about nature, connects love as a metaphor with nature, and thus brings human nature connect. Here's another example for you to look at before we finally write our own haiku. I saw two seagulls and a red bird in a tree waiting there for spring. Okay, now why don't you go ahead and attempt writing your own haiku?